Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the show.
How's everybody doing this evening? Maybe evening, not everywhere, but
Yeah, well, we're working on it slowly but surely.
yeah, at least it cooled off here in Florida a little bit. So
I wish it'd cool off just a little bit out here in Oklahoma and Texas. It's been hotter enough to fry an egg on asphalt.
yeah, people have been telling me their pools are more like hot tubs right now.
Oh, yeah, I can believe it. I mean, and the bad thing is, tomorrow we're losing all of our water in our water towers out here in Pauls Valley. I mean, all the water towers are draining tomorrow. Nobody in this town will have water. So
I
stock
mean,
up, folks.
raining because of lack of water, or
No, there's actually, I think it has to do with the 3M lawsuit that
oh,
was was fought and won $13 billion for a chemical that 3M produced for the water companies.
wow,
Yeah, it's got the forever lasting chemical that if you consume it or it's put into the ground, it's there forever.
wow, yeah, I hadn't heard. I might have heard a little bit about that, but
Yeah, well, you got to follow me on my personal page, sir. Get all kinds of information out there for you.
I do follow you on your personal page. But you put all kinds of information out there, so it's
Well, I give everybody something to think about.
whenever I'm looking at your stuff, it's kind of like treasure hunting. So
Yeah. Hello, Miss Joanne.
don't she join in? I sent her a link, or I sent her a hey there, Joanne. She wanted me to send her a message or a whatever you call it next time. So link, whatever. So I did it today. So I was trying to think of other
Awesome.
people. So
There you go. Well, folks, today we're going to kick it back. You know, everything's just too damn crazy in our modern day society. So, we thought we would kick it on back. And I don't know if any of y'all have watched Oak Island or were treasure hunting at enthusiasts of Forrest Fenn and the $1 million chase. But we're going to be talking about these treasure hunts and, things in history, unsolved treasures that could be solved if you can figure it out.
yeah,
And they've been looked at for decades and
you know a
decades
lot
and
more about
decades.
treasure hunting than I do. So and
Well, I have a lot of time to educate myself.
hopefully it's not too smoky up there in your part, Joanne. So she said it finally got warm up there where she's at. So,
Good grief. We'll send you some heat from Oklahoma and Texas. The heat index has been in the 120s.
yeah, I've been noticing that.
Woo.
A lot of people have been sending me stuff like that, and I'm like, Florida's hot and humid, but we're not that hot yet. So
Well, my temperature gauge right now is saying 120, and that's not my radiator temperature. That's the heat index here. Kind of
um,
toasting.
it's only like 84 here right now as far as the regular
Oh,
temperature
shut
goes.
up.
So let's
I
see.
don't
I
want to
can.
hear you say another word about being hot.
It was hot earlier. Okay, it was hot. Our heat index is 95 right now, so it's not that bad. So
Let me send you. Let me send you some heat.
I'm an hour ahead of
French.
you, so I'm closer to sunset. You can see the sun starting to go down.
Whew.
Our high today was 96.8, and our feel like high was 108, and our heat index high was 118. So,
Ooh, you're right, Miss Joanne. Y'all have definitely got some forest fires out of control up there.
yeah, they were even talking about that on our news, saying we're going to get some smoke all the way down here in Florida. But I've seen some of the pictures from people up around the U.S. bar and states, I guess you would say, up closer to New England and stuff like New York and even Chicago, and our friend Ruth from
Michigan.
Michigan, she's been showing it. Our friends from Ohio, yeah, I've been seeing y'all's monster fires. Hopefully they're not
And
in.
that's absolutely insane because all those fires just broke out at one time.
Yeah. Hey,
Hey,
Ruth, I
Miss
was just
Ruth.
talking about you. We were just talking about smoke from Canada. But yeah, it's pretty bad. They're all in. Are they all in non-populated areas mostly? Because I mean, Canada's big.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the non-populated, but I think some of those fires are getting closer to the populated areas.
That wouldn't surprise me.
I really do. You know, I worry about those folks up there
Me too.
because once those fires start out in remote areas, there's no stopping it.
Yeah, there's. I mean, California used to have a pretty good way of stopping it, and they'd go and drop off uh, selected inmates off in the forest pretty much, and let these groups of 30 or 40 inmates, and they'd pretty much be honorary firefighters, and they'd camp out there, and they were like, well, it's still better than being locked up. So, and then after the pandemic,
You know? Yeah. Miss Joanne's got a thing. She said, "Poor Bigfoot. If he's up there, he's gone." That's why we're having more and more sightings of Bigfoot. I know it.
Yeah, because well, it's like when a
They're
hurricane
evacuating.
Yeah, they're evacuating. They're going to go swim in the Great Lakes right now.
But yeah, we're going to talk about some historical treasure hunts. Good one to start out with would be the Forest Fen. No, we got the Utah one.
Yeah, I got
that was just solved, and that was $25,000. And the woman actually videoed herself finding the treasure. I was so happy for that woman. I really was.
Well, I don't know.
She worked so hard.
For $25,000, I could probably go garage hunting in these people's old barns and stuff. Go barn hunting and find an old car in there worth that nowadays.
Yeah, but it's the idea of getting clues.
Yeah, I got you.
And following the clues and trying to figure out where the clues are leading. And then when you finally get there, it's like, oh my God, I found it.
I was just kidding on that one. So. Plus, I like old cars too. So, all right. Well, let me share this. Oops.
Yeah, let's share that video. I mean, that is just so cool.
Okay, there we go.
And yeah, people, we're not going to be trying to politicize any damn thing tonight. It's just too insane.
All right, before too much time goes by, I wanted to hop on and hurry and do a quick solve walkthrough. I wish that me and John had a big fancy production team that could make this video beautiful with graphics and all sorts of crazy stuff, but I just think that speed's more paramount than making it beautiful. So I'm literally just doing this on Zoom, a screen record. Okay, so let's get started. I know the last few years we've done the poem hunt. We've pretty much followed the same formula, the same outline. The first couple lines get you to the trailhead, and then all the lines after that are pretty much things that you'll see on the trailhead confirming you're in the right general area. So we knew, just because of the popularity of these hunts that's growing and so many people are participating now, we always joke it's us versus the internet. We knew we had to switch that formula up just to throw everybody off. So begin your search where time was transcendent, crack open the books, they're interdependent. We know that we're going through Utah history looking for important locations that were transcendent. And I think the key idea here is the word there. So right off the bat, we know we're looking for more than one location that we need to get information from. So then lift up your eyes and look for the mark, hike to the tree that stands without bark. I think a lot of people were closing in on this. We're actually looking for the marker number of the monument. And so the first one is actually Ensign Peak. Right. And on Ensign Peak, there's actually a plaque, and the marker number is 43. So that's the information that we need from Ensign Peak. Now we go to the next line. Past the grain tower that looks out to the west, not more than an hour, you'll know by its crest. There's a lot to unpack here too. But that lorem ipsum clue that we emailed out was pretty much just saying, hey, refresh on your Latin, because the word grain is actually a root word for granite. So another way to read it would be, past the granite tower that looks out to the west, not more than an hour, you'll know by its crest. And we also had the clue that said the word hour has multiple meanings. Whenever we have only a limited amount of space, 12 lines to pack in so much information, anytime there's a word like hour or any word that has distance, it usually has multiple meanings. And so there was actually 3 meanings for the word hour. The first one was that it's pretty much an hour from where you park the car to where you find the chest. The second one we sent out as a clue because it was a little more vague. So it's 60 feet off the trail. And then the third meaning was the monument was actually 60 feet high. So we're looking for a granite tower that's 60 feet high that looks out to the west. And I think a lot of people too were closing in on this idea, but it was actually, this is the place monument. Now, we didn't actually mean for anybody to go to either of these places. I mean, if you did, it's fantastic because they're beautiful. Okay, so the second location is this is the place. But then it says, look down at your map, do not wander with thirst. Remember 2 less than on top of the first. So the first one was Ensign Peak. And if we actually go and look at a picture of Ensign Peak, what's on top of it is a sphere or a circle. So it's 360 degrees. And if we subtract 2 from 360, that gives us 358. So now our two measurements are 43 and 58. You'll know. So I don't know how many of you remember your math from 5th grade, but the actual notation in math for like where 2 lines intersect is the upside down U or a frown. It's how you denote where A intersects B. And so that's literally what we're doing on a map. And you can either do this with a compass and a map or online. And just for the purposes of this, I'll do it online. So let's actually go to the monument, and we're going to start a course, and we need to go 43 degrees from Ensign Peak. And over here, the azimuth is pretty much our degrees. Okay, so 20. So we got to zoom out, and we got to go 43 degrees, and we're just going to draw a line. Here we go. Let's see. Where's 43? 39, 40, 42, 43. Right here. Okay. And then from our second location, which we know this is the place, let's go to the actual monument, and we're going to start a course, and we're going to chart 358 degrees. So we're going to zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. 358. There it is. Like right there. Okay. But when I first did this,
X
I
marks the
thought
spot.
that the shape right here looked like an upside down church. So the next line in the poem that says, what points towards heaven but is upside down? This is actually the steeple and the roof and the 2 walls. So this is an upside down church. And this gets you pretty close. So next 2 lines, get off the road at the airplane without wings. Okay, so this is actually the 2 movie references. And I think I saw a lot of people get this. So obviously, the airplane without wings was Back to the Future. There were a couple ways to interpret this that were all sort of correct. Twin Pines Mall, and also Old Man Peabody, just in the scene right before the airplane without wings scene, he was talking about how his whole vision was trying to breed pine trees. So we're looking for a pine tree and get off the road. I saw a lot of people got this one too. It was in Lord of the Rings where they get off the road and they kind of hide under the roots. That's essentially where we hid the treasure. It's a pine tree and we hid the treasure under the roots of a pine tree. Search from the shoulder and fortune it will bring. So for me, the shoulder was actually the shoulder of this church. It was either on this side or this side. So we're actually looking for a pine tree off the shoulder. And I think if we zoom in, let's see if we can actually do satellite view. Okay. If we zoom in, you can see that from this shoulder right here, there's not too many pine trees that are about 60 feet off. These ones are too close. These ones 60 feet off the trail. And that's essentially how you solve this year's poem hunt.
Could it be? After
Isn't that
centuries
amazing,
of mystery
folks?
and intrigue, has enigmatic oak treasure finally been found?
Stop. So that was really like a treasure hunt, huh?
Yeah, that's like a real treasure hunt. That one was $25,000.
Well, it's
and the woman actually went out and she found it. You
So
know,
somebody, I mean, recently put that there because he was talking about movie references and everything else like that. So
Yeah.
that's why I was asking. So
yeah, a lot of treasure hunts, modern day treasure hunts, are spin-offs of Forrest Fenn because he inspired so many people to get outdoors with their families and make memories. Because his entire poem in his book about the thrill of the chase, treasure hunt, was about his life. You know, he just found out
I
he'd
could
had
see.
cancer, and they pretty much gave him a death sentence. He had 3 years to live, so he decided he was going to do something. He wrote a poem that, you know, was basically a treasure map, and he put a whole bunch of stories in from his childhood and him being an adult. I mean, he went to the Yellowstone every summer with his mom and dad back in the Depression era. He joined the Air Force. He saw the world. He was shot down in Vietnam, not once but twice. He found he tells him his book about a headstone that he found of a U.S. soldier. Hadn't found it again since. But when he come home and became a test pilot for the U.S. Air Force, because apparently they liked the fact he wasn't scared to crash. So, you know, one day he said he wanted to go somewhere where he could wear penny loafers, short sleeve shirts, and khaki pants year round. So he wound up in Arizona.
I guess
So
yeah.
he loved to trout fish. You know, that was his fondest memories. He had his buddy Skippy and his brother, and you know, they had wild adventures. That was back in the day when you left the house at sunrise and didn't come home till sunset.
I could see
And
that.
you try to keep your ass out of trouble. You know, but he wanted to inspire people to get out and enjoy an adventure. So that's why I created Thrill the Chase.
Okay,
So
I thought
there,
it was like old treasure hunts, so that's why I could.
yeah, it was a big
Well, I meant
treasure
like
hunt.
that one you were just talking about. I was thinking that was like an old treasure hunt because I don't know. Here's
Well,
where I grew up at, and I'll share the screen with that off Google Maps. And let's see, I'll put it just up there so I know it's hard to see. But here you can tell most of this is farmland and everything out here. So
Yep.
I grew up here in this corner up here by Patrick Cemetery. And then the only road in and out of where I lived was this one right here. And if you zoom in, the name of this road is Lost Gold Road. Okay.
Okay.
Now the history has it that this tree right here is where the gold is buried underneath.
Okay.
And as you can see, there's open fields and only trees out there drawn, but nobody ever tried to dig it up, evidently. And
Was
supposedly
it supposed to be cursed or
some
what?
bank robbers. No, not that I know of. The cemetery back over here that I grew up with was supposed to be haunted. But over here is where we used to swim all the time. And that's Patrick's Crossing. So that's
Okay.
where it was supposed to be stolen at some kind of, bank thing. But over here is where I used to live at in this house over here. And there's also supposed to be, you can't really tell it now because they moved it. Oh, yeah, you can. Where this road
Yeah, you
comes
can.
together is one over here on where the road kind of goes from being 2 lanes to 1 lane by this tree.
Yep.
There's supposed to be a headstone that you can see in the middle of that road, but it looks like it's run over. and that's supposed to be haunted. It was supposed to be a little girl that was killed, and you're supposed to be able to hear her dad, or you can hear the mom crying from the woods south of there, and then in that tree you can hear or see the dad hanging or sitting up in the tree watching over the grave, and then you can hear the baby knock on the grave.
Cool.
So we did.
So that one tree out in the middle of the field is. So the tree out in the middle of the field is supposed to have a buried treasure somewhere around it?
Yeah, it's supposed to have buried treasure under it. So, yeah, that's out.
Was nobody ever took a metal detector out there?
Stories, but that's out in the cemetery. But
cool.
Not that I know of. It's always been private property, so you didn't really want to get caught on it. So,
well,
that I know of.
All you gotta do is ask.
And then it's also folklore, so But you see how they named all the roads after stuff like that. So.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I mean,
that cemetery.
That's what treasure hunts are for.
And the hauntedness.
It's a venture.
And the hauntedness of the cemetery, we used to really mess with people back when we were younger. Like I said, this was before we could drive and everything else, and we were out doing burnouts in our cars in front of that cemetery and stuff. And because you could see it's kind of open around it a little bit.
Yeah.
And students from Baylor would come out there to the cemetery because they thought it was haunted, and we'd lock them inside.
Yeah. You little cad.
So, yeah, that wasn't very nice of us. But
yeah,
well, I'm telling you.
We had fun.
You're talking about wanting something to go do. That was stuff to go do because.
Yeah, I
or
agree
we would
with
scare
Joanne.
the living crap out of them. Well, another thing we'd do is I had this one friend that was like 6'6" and weighed like 280 pounds. And we would have the people come into the cemetery to try to see if it was haunted or not. And it would be like a half moon or something like that. My friend would get out there on the sides and just start shaking the trees, like uprooting trees and stuff like that. And then we would go running back.
So he was the Bigfoot.
He was the Bigfoot, yeah. You would have thought he was Bigfoot. Then one of us, smaller kids, would go running through the cemetery behind them, screaming and stuff like that. So they wouldn't know what was going on because none of them brought out flashlights or anything. Or if they did, they just saw some specter running through the cemetery or something. So, yeah, we were bad. If you would have come around that cemetery, that's one reason why I'm suspicious of a lot of hauntings is because we scared the crap out of so many people in that cemetery. And it was like we heard things in there all the time, but it was like animals, you'd be out there, what the heck was that?
A chupacabra?
Huh?
Did you find your chupacabra there?
No. Usually it was one of our dogs. My friend had a Malamute too, so see that walking up on you in the middle of the night.
Ooh.
Because we usually went through all them woods with no flashlights or anything. So,
well, most of us did. You run around it in the dark without a flashlight.
Yeah,
kind of got used to it.
My vision was a lot better then. I'll put it that way.
Yep.
Then we always had treasure hunts too. Just because it was like, okay, where the trees cross, there's treasure. X marks the spot. So we'd go and get shovels or whatever and start digging under the trees and hit limestone. And it was like nobody could have dug through this. So,
you never know.
You never know.
Might have been close. I mean, you got the Beale treasure. That was from the 1800s. It's never been found. It's a bunch of ciphers. I think they had the first set of clues, which there's 3 sets of ciphers. I think the first one was off of the Declaration of Independence. There's a guy here recently I hear that thinks he has a second one solved. He just don't have the funds to go find it. So you never know.
You never know.
You
That was
never
all
know.
us kids having fun, though. That was
But
us.
that one's supposed to be about $93 million worth of gold.
Well,
That would
if
be
you-
like hitting the lottery. Five-number
here's something I've
lottery.
wondered, and I was looking up something about it earlier. Do they get to keep all that if it's historic gold, like that guy that found all that Civil War treasure? Does he get to keep that, or is it does the state
He
take it?
gets a percentage of it
I was just
because
wondering
it's a
that, 'cause-
historical value. It falls under the trove laws.
Okay.
You know, treasure troves.
Oh, okay, yeah. I knew they'd find a way to tax it. I just wasn't sure if they would take all of it or.
Now they get their fair share of it. I promise you.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sorry. I'm writing a list of people that I need to start tagging whenever, or messaging whenever we go live.
Yep.
Because we go live on like 3 channels and it never sends out messages to anybody. I'm surprised Joe got it as early as he did, to be honest with you.
I'm surprised Kimberly got it too.
I think she just looked at what time it was, because when our next video comes up, I'll find that list. So,
Yep.
so
But yeah,
which
I
one do you
mean,
wanna watch?
let's see. We've covered the Utah $25,000 one. We've talked about the Forrest Fenn one. Oh, let's see what the Thomas Beale one's about, because that one kind of has the remnants of a KGC treasure, which we'll probably wind up with.
Which one is that one? Because I've got two. One treasure found on Oak Island. Oak Island treasure has finally been found, and 3 lost treasure mysteries still not solved. In Arizona,
I'm not quite sure that's an Oak Island treasure.
There's Arizona short stories. The Lost
Well,
Dutchman. Man.
Yeah, the Lost Dutchman's a good one too. I'm going to tell you. They're still looking for that old bugger's gold.
And that was on PBS.
Yep. Let's go with the Lost Dutchman, because I'm going to tell you.
All right.
Well, we'll cover a little bit more after the video, but it's a good video.
Okay, I'm trying to get it on here without starting halfway through.
Well, we're sorry about the no notifications, but Meta's being a butthole.
Yeah, it is. Okay, here we go.
But it's in there. There's no doubt in my mind it's in there.
No doubt Bob Corbin believes gold is hidden in the Superstition Mountains east of Phoenix. That's why the former Attorney General has journeyed into this wilderness hundreds of times over the past 50 years.
The reporters, and I was Attorney General, they asked me why I like to go in there so much. I told them that's the only place I can go and you can't get to me.
Gold has been found here, but its source has been in dispute from the beginning. It all started in the late 1800s when a German prospector named Jacob Waltz emerged from the superstitions with gold ore. That created quite a stir in Phoenix. Before he died in 1891, he supposedly left clues to the location of his mine.
He also, when he died, had 24 pounds of very, very rich gold ore underneath his bed in a candle box.
The legend of the Lost Dutchman mine was born. The Lost Dutchman mine was brought to popular attention by the 1949 film Lust for Gold, starring Glenn Ford as Jacob Waltz. But it wasn't the movie that brought Bob Corbin to Arizona. It was the legend of the mine.
Well, I was a Hoosier back in Indiana, and I was going to Indiana University. And one of the things we had to do was write a theme on a subject. And I picked Lost Mines. And in reading and researching, one of them was the Lost Dutchman mine. And from that point on, I was hooked.
The Lost Dutchman mine is the holy grail, the great granddaddy of all lost mine stories.
Ron Feldman operates the OK Corral in Apache Junction. He's also spent decades in the mountains on a quest for gold.
I've spent 37 years of my life looking for it. But people from all over the United States come looking for the Lost Dutchman mine, all over from the world, actually. I have had people coming out for the last 35 years, the same people coming to hunt this thing, and now their children and grandchildren come out and hunt this thing.
Organized treks have been made into the superstitions at least as early as 1934. One year, the Dons of Phoenix, an organization preserving local culture, welcomed over 2,000 guests. They arrived in busloads. Over the years, visitors have been entertained with Dutchman lore and the opportunity to pan for gold. The day culminated with the recreation of Jacob Waltz's story. Near the west face of the superstitions on the streets of Goldfield, tourists soak up the Old West atmosphere, trying to grasp what it might really have been like 100 years ago. This site marks the spot of the original gold mining town.
We revived it over the last 20 years. We've been fixing it up and opened it up for tourism and stuff like that. A lot of people just love the history.
Maybe they love to feel a little heat from gold fever down in the Goldfield mine. Around Goldfield are several abandoned mines like the Queen here, filled with water, its secret safe. The secret of the Lost Dutchman's mine, over a century old, also remains safe. But that doesn't deter those who seek it.
He said that his mine was 2 miles back from the face. Well, what does he mean by back? Did he mean back into the superstitions where you're right at the foot of Weaver's Needle 2 miles back, or out this way 2 miles back? And it's little things like that that screw people up for 100 years.
What I learned real quickly is, well, actually, it wasn't too quick. It took me 25 years to learn where the Dutchman wasn't.
Since I've been looking since 1957 for it, I've come up with a lot of clues. But there's no question, a lot of people say there's no gold in those mountains, and there is.
The superstitions have an air of mystery about them, a whisper of danger. There have been over 100 documented deaths in this wilderness.
A lot of people have died looking for the mine. You know, it's real easy. It's a harsh environment. You go out there without the right equipment and supplies and water, and it's pretty easy to get dead in a hurry. Some of them have been shot, killed over a piece of dirt that they thought was they had the location and they didn't want anybody else around.
I think it's an obsession. People go in there, some people go in with the idea they're going to find it. And it gets a hold of them and it destroys their lives.
All the more reason to pack a bit of perspective, along with the pick and axe on a trek into the superstitions. This land is beautiful on its own, without what may be a fool's promise of hidden riches. But that fact doesn't deter the most ardent of seekers. They leave only to return.
There's something about those mountains that are very rough, and just something about them intriguing. But you can't go in there with the thought you're going to find it, because 99 or out of a multi-million times, you're not going to.
Okay, I like his attitude on that. As far as that goes, I do like his attitude on that. Don't go out there thinking you're going to find it.
Yeah, don't go out there thinking you're going to find it. You're going out on an adventure, and you know, a lot of people have thought they know exactly where it was, went out there and never returned, and they found just the bones.
Joe asked if it's on BLM land. Well, I don't think it would be out there, because that was Wild West. That really was the Wild West area, especially when they were having so much gold mining up there. And if this dang mosquito or yellow fly does not leave me alone, I'm going to torch it. And I've seen that's something that evidently white people say is, oh, I got you now, MFer, to bugs. But anyway.
And it's still that way. It's still that way. These treasure hunters are die-harders. And some of those, you can find the old land claims out there that have been there for generations.
Yeah.
And some of them, they are on BLM. But the legend has it, the legend is pretty much circled around Weaver's Needle, which is a national monument.
I could see that being
And
true
that-
or legend, to be honest with you, just because if you're going across that land, even in the Old West, there ain't much out there. So, I could see
Well,
why legends would get made about it.
Well, here's actually the legend of it. Jacob was out with this search party looking for it. Well, they finally give up. Well, he was on the way back and he got attacked by Apaches. And he run and he hid in the mountains, and somewhere in those mountains he climbed into a cave and found the gold. So when he finally got out, he made a map or mental notes on how to get back to it, and he took so much of the gold with him down to Tucson. So he bought him a little patch of land, and when he needed gold, he would disappear for a week or two and go get him some gold and come back. Yeah, well, people tried to follow him for years, decades, trying to figure out where he was getting his gold from. They were going to jump his claim.
Of course.
But, when, one year it rained so much out there that the river rose up and somebody found him stranded in a tree. Well, they took him back to a town with a German lady had a shop, her and her husband, and that's where he died. But before he died, he told her and two other men how to get to the treasure, and that's how that legend started.
So do they
But
think
nobody's
the
been
river
able
could
to
have washed
find
it away
it.
by then? Could the river
I
have
don't-
washed it away by then?
No.
No. Well, Joe said a
No.
friend of his was investigating caves in California and found a minor scale and a small cache in there. So,
Awesome. See, that's a treasure hunt.
yeah, I mean, I could see that being an old treasure hunt. That's the kind of stuff I thought you were talking about as far as treasure hunts, and not the.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you never know.
You
You
know,
know, you go into looking for one thing and you find something totally different.
well, they do find a lot of old historical treasure in Florida a lot of times, but I think a lot of the money's on if you're hanging out at the beach and stuff washing up on shore. And I don't
Well,
mean,
that's because the storm surge is always dragging it up out of the bottom and pushing it to the shoreline.
no, I was
That's
talking
why I say,
more about, I was talking
know-
more about Colombian treasure.
well, you have Colombian treasure, you have Spanish treasure, you have English treasure, you have French treasure. A lot of ships went down off those coasts in storms.
Well, this comes up in bricks, and you don't want to get
Yeah.
caught with them. That kind of treasure that I was talking about. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, there is you do find a lot of crazy stuff washed up, and it's sometimes I've seen a lot of stuff in Florida with them calling the cops and it being, okay, well, we don't know if it's this, or this. Was it a sunken ship? And it's like, well, this doesn't date back to anything in modern era. So this might be a Civil War or a Spanish-American War, Colombian cannonball or Colombian cannon, or not Colombian, but Spanish cannon, or,
There is so much of our history in America that has been trashed up. When you go to start really looking into this and you look into the local folk stories and the history,
oh, yeah.
that's when you learn the real history.
Well, that's what I was talking about with all the roads named stuff and all the legends, or, stuff about where I lived. Now, here in Florida, you're not going to find too much like that because nobody in Florida is from Florida, hardly, especially the further south you go.
Well, I mean, I can tell you right now, if you go out to Muleshoe, Texas,
yeah, Texas,
you might accidentally find part of a Jesse James and Frank James and Cole Younger treasure.
Yeah. I mean, no surprise at all, because that was before you.
And then if you want to find some more of it, you might look up around Cement, Oklahoma. they're still looking for that one up there.
Right. I've heard about that. I've watched
And you
enough
go on
documentaries.
over into Missouri. They've got some more of it over there that, you know, they found little bits and bobs of it over there.
Joe says he wants to go metal detecting to a cemetery, but he doesn't have the cojones. So I don't know. I
Now,
would in
we
a
don't
cemetery.
we don't want to disturb the dead, Joe.
I don't know. Do you think metal detecting would disturb them if you're just as long as you
I
didn't dig
think
them
it
up or
would.
nothing? Worse
Well, if
than
you're metal detecting, you're going to dig it up. You got to know what you found.
I guess so. Yeah. I guess living behind a cemetery, I was so comfortable with being in a cemetery that
We used to
Yeah.
play hide and go seek in the cemetery where I
we
lived.
did. Well, ours was more scare the crap out of each other. So it was like, okay, you know, let's all go hide. And then it was like kind of like a game of chase plus scare the crap out of each other plus hide and go seek. Because I'll be honest with you, sometimes it was spooky going through them.
Oh, you really think those pennies would make them go off? And some of them are not pennies. Some of them are doubloons. And those are very, very valuable.
Well, I know in the later years, like when my great grandfather was buried in that cemetery, they still put him, but the casket in a metal box, so that'd probably go off too. Depending, I don't know how good a metal detector you'd have to go 6 feet down. At least
Well,
that's what you got
normally-
buried in Texas. I know in places like New Orleans,
Some
and
of
stuff like
them
that.
will go about 36 inches, and that's about it.
I know in New Orleans and stuff, a lot of them will float up to the top and stuff. So, which is even
Yep.
more spooky. So I'd be scared to go metal detecting in a cemetery in New Orleans, I think, and some of them in Florida. So, I mean,
But yeah, I mean, there are treasure hunts that you could do basically in just about every state in the United States.
oh yeah, definitely. It's kind of like paranormal stuff. You could do it in pretty much any state. There's something paranormal in any state. So, and with as
But
much
the history you learn and the time that you could spend with your children,
yeah,
and you know, they could learn the actual history,
I don't know if my
not
son
what's
would be.
white. I hate using this term because I mean it's just pretty much whitewashed out. The real truth is whitewashed out of our history.
That's true.
I mean, I hate using that term, but I mean that's about it.
No, tonight. My name's Chad, by the way, Joanne. But tonight I'm drinking Modelo right now. But I'm also drinking water, so to balance it out.
Yeah, you better hydrate, sir.
So I'm not sweating as much now that temperature's gone down some. So
Yeah, ours has gone down 5 degrees. It's gone down from 120 to 115. But you know, people, you need to get out with your kids and spend time with them.
I'm one that needs to do that. I'm not going to lie. I don't know if I'd be treasure hunting. I might be learning history. I mean, one thing I love to do is go kayaking, and there's also no telling what kind of treasure you're going to find doing that either.
Hey, you could be megalodon tooth hunting down there.
My son likes to argue on how we know megalodon is extinct.
I would question that because there are so many critters in the ocean that we don't really know about.
Exactly. And I
But
tell
if
him
you're
that-
finding a megalodon tooth that's like this,
yeah.
that's buku dinero.
Oh yeah.
That's a treasure hunt find.
Oh yeah.
Even the little ones are
Well, you can
fabulous
go-
to find.
You can go scuba diving down in a lot of the holes here and stuff, or the springs here and stuff, and find gems and all kinds of stuff that's produced by hot springs.
Yep.
Or warm springs. I guess this one's considered these are considered hot springs, but not like from volcanic activity, just due to pressure and where they're coming from. So,
Well, and not only that, I mean, if you don't want to actually get out and treasure hunt, there are games that you can do online that are called geocaching.
we found those. We found those. whenever we've been out kayaking before, I actually found one, and it was in the trunk of a tree. That the trunk was hollow, but it was out on a spring, so it was over where there's storms and flooding and all the time. So the tree went up.
So
And I was
you,
like, huh?
so you have been treasure hunting. You
It
just
wasn't
didn't
on
know it.
purpose. I just walked up to the bank because we were taking a break, and I found it inside the trunk of this tree, and it was like in a little round camouflage box or coin thing that looked about like this. And I was like, what the heck is that? And my friend that was with us was like, oh, somebody's geocaching. You got to put something in there. And
Yep.
we opened it up, and there was all kinds of stuff in there. And we were like, what the heck can we put in there? And
Put a beer
I
top
forget what we
can.
put in there, but it was just, I mean, we're out kayaking, so we don't have anything that would be, we could just take off and put in there other than a sandwich, or, well, it wasn't big enough, a piece of ham or something like that. All
Oh,
we
you
had
could
with
have
us-
put a ring off of the top of a soda can or a beer can in there.
It was something
I
like
mean, a
that
lot
we
of
put in there. It was something like that we put in there. But I
it's
would
about
go
a
say
memory.
I've done more treasure hunting with finding stuff that was like, oh, look at, and it makes us all feel, everybody watching here, to make it feel old, but it's like, oh, this is a freaking beer can with a regular pop top on it, you know?
Yep.
And it's like, dang, it's still in good condition too. And it's like, I'm taking this home with me, and my luck, I'd get pulled over taking one of them home and having them charging me with open container while driving or something. So
Yep. Yep. You got to remember the Fitzgerald.
and Joe says he's actually bought coins and left them.
Awesome. See, people make history every day.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you just give somebody something to look forward to.
Here's the thing is people don't lose stuff as much as they used to, in a way. And then like this beer can might be like, oh crap, look at this beer can. This has got to be from the 2000s,
Well, not only that, you have to think, back in the day, they didn't have banks on every corner. They didn't have
no.
safety deposit boxes. Sometimes you just find a old jar that has got change in it, which maybe have been everybody's last penny that they hid because they didn't want to get robbed. You have just found somebody's treasure. That was their life savings. You got to look at it that way.
I agree. I agree 100%. Let's see. You want to watch one more of these?
Which one we got left?
We got top 3 lost treasure mysteries never solved, and 2 on Oak Island.
Yeah, let's take a look at that one on Oak Island, because I have to really question whether or not that's an Oak Island one. I think it's somebody's trying to get views off of Oak Island.
Maybe, yeah. I got one from Finally Found, and I got one that's says from 2023 that's like statues or something.
Yeah, the statue one.
Play that
Because,
one?
yeah, play that one, because that one intrigued me. Because that one actually could have been a Templar treasure trove. It really could have. Okay, is it going to play? Those are a picture of the 3 vessels he actually dug up and out of the bank. Now, he basically found that one with just a metal detector. I would be scared digging into a bank that hard and heavy. Because if there was something
would be
actually
too.
valuable there, I'd be scared I'd break it. Joe, he says
I was
he
thinking,
says it's on Oak Island, but I'm just doubting that.
I haven't watched too much of Oak Island, so I don't know. Maybe, like you said, they're just using it for a way to get views or way to trigger views, I guess you'd say. I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if you could use a pressure washer on something like that, like a high-powered pressure washer?
Yeah, but who's going to take a pressure washer treasure hunting?
Well, if
It would be cool.
I mean, you'd probably need a trash pump too for all the water that you'd have to use. But that's how I've seen people digging wells on their own in places like Florida.
I agree, Joe. It does look like he may be Honduran,
Oh yeah, that's a
but
good.
it could also
Yeah.
also be Mexican.
That's true too.
But look how far he's already dug into this. And he's starting to uncover it. That
Dang,
is
my
just the
friend
coolest
Victor,
part right there. That is so freaking cool right there, just digging into it.
Well, if it was placed there, he did a lot of pounding on that dirt to get it. I don't know how that metal detector would have picked it up through that hard and deep of dirt, though.
When you see what he pulls out of those vessels, you'll understand why it went off. Like I said,
Oh,
they'll
okay.
go off of to about 3 feet deep. See, there's another one. There's 3 of them there that he digs out.
Now I definitely want a pressure washer.
But he is definitely motivated now. He is not giving up. Gotta take a breather, but he ain't giving up.
Son of a bitch.
Hit. But it's just amazing at how he's found these. And I really think the vessels are probably more valuable than what's actually in them. I don't know, Joe. I don't know why he's not hollering. I know there's two people there. Look how exquisite the handwork is on those bases. Or vessels. I'll just call them vessels. I mean, they're exquisite. The amount of craftsmanship is just astounding. I agree, Joe. I would too. I'd be on Indy. Well, there's the first one. Isn't that exquisite? That one on the left, I just think is fabulous. And see, these are not just normal, everyday peasant vessels. These are high status royalty vessels. The craftsmanship is exquisite. Wow. Come on, Internet. Don't fail us now. I mean, that is just absolutely exquisite. And that, my friends, is why the metal detector was going off. Look at all that gold. Looky there. Look at, oh my God, isn't that beautiful? I'm wanting to say that's down in Mexico. I really do. I think that was down in Mexico because of just the craftsmanship on those vessels.
It wouldn't surprise
Because
me.
I know when the Spanish invaded, they started trying to collect all the gold.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they wanted. So
That's exactly what I was thinking.
they gathered up all the gold and they took it, and they were supposed to send it north of Mexico, which legend has it they took it into Utah.
Utah, huh? Well, see,
Utah.
that's the kind of stuff that makes me think about, I wouldn't say as much in the United States, but in like places like that where, like in the United States, the U.S. got invaded, but not like the South America and Central America and like Cuba and the Caribbean and stuff like that did, because the Spanish were pretty ruthless then too, and Europe, England already had control of the Northeast. And then I don't know, seems like South America, from history I've seen, they pretty much just got taken over,
Yeah.
And then
you had the Jesuit monks that came in. You had Ponce de Leon. What's the other one? The conquistadors.
Yeah.
Came in. So, you had so many people trying to just find the riches and pillage and find their sources. So, treasure hunting's been going on for decades, but there is so much of the history that was hidden to protect it from pillaging, which nowadays we call it the Smithsonian. And the FBI and the CIA and Homeland Security and whoever else will sit in on it because of their greedy little biscuit snatchers.
I don't want to even talk about any of them groups right now.
I know, but they have to be all up in it. But it'd be cool to go out and actually find this stuff.
Oh, it would be, just for the history sake of it. I agree with you 100%.
And just for the fun of it. Even if you're just geocaching, that's fun.
Reminds me of Pokemon hunting.
Yeah,
that's what geocaching. How my friend described it to me. It's like Pokemon, but treasure hunting.
Yep.
I was like, I never heard of it.
Yeah. The money of it would be great, but the powers that be to have their damn biscuit snatchers in your pockets.
Oh, yeah.
Trying to take it away from you.
You'd have to bury it again to hide it from the IRS. So.
Yeah.
And the Smithsonian. So.
Yeah. But folks, that's our show for the day. The whole point of it was to encourage you to get out with the young folks. Get out and have some fun with them. Let them learn the real history of your region or wherever you want to go. Challenge their mind. Challenge their educational skills because they're not getting it in schools.
Well,
they're not.
History and science and stuff like that, my daughter will ask 10,000 questions. And then I have to store stuff from it.
Well, sometimes when you have one question, you may have to ask 5,000 more questions to get the answer to the first question you had.
Well, that's why I
But you,
said
when you
I have
get
to
that
show her-
answer, you know it.
I won't say then I have to show her stuff like I'm required to show her stuff. It's just, okay, you dug this deep. Let me show you a little deeper, a little deeper, a little deeper. No way, that's how that happened.
Yeah.
You're like, yeah, look at this, this, and this, and this. And
That's why I encourage, people, when you get to decide you want to go out and pick some vegetables, to go to a farmer who does a you pick vegetable patch, and let your kids pick their own food. Let them know where that food comes from. It don't come straight from Walmart or Winn-Dixie or Piggly Wiggly or Kroger or HEB's.
HEB.
It comes straight from the damn ground.
My kids know that, but
But a lot
most
of
my
kids
garden's
don't.
died now.
Yeah. Get out with your kids. Have some fun. Make some memories.
I agree.
Challenge
Get 'em
your
off them
education.
tablets.
Teach them to think and reason and logic.
My daughter
know?
spends more time on her tablet than my son does, but she's the one that thinks and reasons and logics with a lot of stuff. So
And that's a good thing to do.
it is a good thing to do. So she likes to argue too, though. So I'm afraid to see
Well.
what she's 10 now. I'm afraid to see what I'm going to get another 5 to 10 years. So
And she might be the next great congressman or congresswoman of Florida, or maybe even the governor.
no, I need her to be a neurologist so I can get health care from her for free when I'm older. So
Oh. But folks, we love you. Thank you for
Love
joining
y'all.
us. And if you've been here for the entire show, we love you. And as usual, remember, sometimes in life you just gotta say, truck it.
truck it. Have a good night, everybody.
See you next week.